This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy!
Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a.
Cat Bus Russ,
who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guests and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, Ninety, 4 FOR, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Hello there.
Hey, Cat Bus Russ here, and I'd just like to let you know that 90 for Chill, the podcast, will be live at Fan Expo this year. Fan Expo taking place at the Douglas Stevens Event Center Conference Center, I believe, technically, what have you. But it's in Rosemont, and on August 18th at 2 p.m., Fan Expo has given us 45 minutes to interact with the 90 for Chill audience, and actually a chance to see what the audience is like. I know I've got the poetic critic lined up for the moment, and I've talked to some of my past guests. Just can't wait to see you guys there, and thank you very much for the support, because one would presume they listen to the podcast before they would just give me 45 minutes of their time and a lot of other perks. So thank you, Fan Expo, and let's get on to the show.
Caring for your family during these times is admirable. But you only get one take at this life.
If only they would just die.
Pardon?
Nothing. I want to be special, dancing up on the screen like the pretty girls in the pictures.
I will not let you leave this farm again.
I'm worried there may be something real wrong with me.
Rumor has it they only take one gal per town.
We're looking for someone with X Factor.
Has to be me.
How about a film nobody else has seen?
Is it legal?
Will be eventually.
I know what I've done. Bad things. Terrible, awful, murderous things. I want to be loved from as many people as possible. But truth is, I'm not really a good person.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
And welcome to a new episode of 90 for Chill, the podcast with Cat Bus Russ. This is your host, Cat Bus Russ. Thank you very much for your patience when it came to coming up with a new episode. I hope you enjoyed the reviews for Criterion Collection favorite, the kaiju feature, the X from Outer Space, the classic modern horror movie You're Next, essentially what Home Alone would be if Kevin McAllister grew up. So, sorry Saw fans there. And Nocturne, a Kickstarter movie, which, you just have to appreciate being made. And that person had so much support. And I think that kind of plays into the movie I'm going to talk about today. I also recovered the Aristocats, which I thought, a lot of fun despite, Disney racism. And yeah, my cat just didn't give me good pictures with that. So Ava the Queen Kitty's I don't like to think she's wrong. And my discussion about Disney World with the Big Sister circa 2022. So that's what you missed if you're waiting for the new stuff. So sorry to not label last week's episode Rewind Wednesday, but I digress. So I don't have a guest this week. I do have a guest lined up for the next new episode. So, hey, I'm doing some good stuff, but I figured with the conclusion of the X trilogy coming out Thursday, I'm going to try catching a 7 o'clock show since I don't think we're going to have trivia at Poor Bros, for the 4th of July holiday. So, yeah, so Maxine will be the conclusion. Oh, shoot, I have one Friday night off. So, yeah, I will definitely see Maxine this weekend. And I'll probably save the review, of course, wait for the digital release, I suppose. But yeah, so I've already seen X, and I loved it. There's moments where you think it's kind of sloppy, but again, it's paying homage to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so that's totally forgivable. Ty West is a genius of a director, I think, is what I've gotten from X and Pearl. So Pearl is the the official subtitle, and I'm going to get that pulled up. Bear with me a few moments as I ramble on and kick the kitty off my pajama pants. At least, hey, I'm wearing pants, I suppose. So let's see. Pearl. Pearl is the X-traordinary origin story. So Pearl stars Mia Goth as Pearl, who was the elderly serial killer in X. And this is kind of where, obviously where she got her tendencies from. And it makes you wonder if she took 70 years off in between those films from doing what she does. It's a real portrait of a serial killer, but excellently directed to look exactly like every movie you watched growing up as a child that seemed old. We're talking about The Wizard of Oz and Mary Poppins, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, all the wholesome fun. And it pays a lot of homage to the dance movies that I'm not a big fan of, like Gold Diggers of 1933. So, Bugsby Berkeley films, I suppose. But it's got, I don't know if it has the charm of those. Like, you are kind of like in a constant Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Like, there it is, when it comes to the effects and such. And I'm going to say I enjoyed X more. But, this is like how you have to appreciate the genius of what Oh Brother, Where Art Thou did for the Coen brothers. Again, they delivered art. And X and Pearl are definitely art, I think. So, and that will be a conversation with the poetic critic in a couple of weeks that you'll get to hear about art. So yes, Pearl is played by Mia Goth, is stuck on the farm featured in X, and she just wants to get away from it. And there's a lot. Basically, she has feelings of betrayal towards everybody close to her. Her mother, and when it comes to her mother, well, it all ends up being circular. So But her mother just basically says, look, you were destined to be a farmhand to take care of your father and me when I get ill from the Spanish flu, essentially, or the 1918 flu epidemic that started in Kansas. Thank you, American propaganda. So that's, but she's basically made every decision in her life to try getting away from the farm. And now it's all coming to a head. And you find out that perhaps there were always hints that she is a murderous bitch. And I don't know, I guess. I love the mother-daughter dynamic in the feature. And I hate to say it, it's kind of stuff like I relate to in a sense. And kind of out growing up, not just knowing I wanted to do what I love to do. Initially, it was, I don't know if I loved computers enough, but, to make a living in computer science, and then it was professional wrestling, and then writing, and I'm still trying to figure that out. So I really do feel empathy towards the Pearl character. And I think that's why I end up enjoying X a little bit more than this, because until the killing gets started, it's more of just paying homage to the films we grew up with as children and how fun it would be to twist them up, I suppose. And that's what Ty West, I can't believe he's any older than I. Gosh, that further screws with my head, I suppose. Thankfully, IMDb does not put his immediate biographical information up on the screen. Yeah, so I will leave that as ignorance is bliss. So, as I say, Pearl is stranded on the farm. Her husband, Howard, is fighting in the war. Her mother is pretty much running the farm on their own. They used to have farmhands, but again, they went to the war. And the mother is really bitter about the war since they are a German family. No reading of dead Germans at dinner, essentially. And again, once we get the murderous intentions become apparent, but we get to almost in turn emphasize the mother, and again show empathy to the mother, and again everything just ends up working out kind of perfectly in a real sick and twisted way. So Pearl is only freedom is going to pick up medicine for her father, who's infirm due to the Spanish flu. And her escape is the cinema to watch the dancing movies. And she's noticed by the projectionist, who tries to be friendly to her and tries to get her on this bohemian lifestyle kick. And, you just got to go and do it, regardless of what your parents say. Well, eventually she's had enough. Her mother knows what she does, and it comes to a head when there's an audition at the church to join a holiday dancing troupe that will travel to at least 7 cities in Texas, and they're only looking for one person. And Pearl has to do it. And the mother is resentful that you want to escape the hand that fate has given you. Which, again, I'm kind of on board with. Like, we're not better with feeling towards Pearl because, we're not better than you. We just know that we're not happy, and you're telling us that you gotta make something. You got to find happiness in your own personal hell, I suppose. So, yeah. One thing leads to another, and Pearl's got a body count before the audition occurs. And now she's got to figure out how to put things in order before her husband Howard comes back. And I mean, there's just some really, as I say, it's a genius film in the sense that it captures the old-timey movies. But, there's not a lot of craziness aside from, scarecrow humping up until we get to, and her relationship with the alligator, Chekhov's alligator, I like to call it, from X. And the gator's proper name is Theta. So, but it doesn't. So it's just like cute and really obscene bits, which you kind of get and just kind of, chuckle at. Like, yeah, that's kind of reality, I suppose, in a sense that, well, no, it's not reality. Like, that's the beauty of the Pearl character. She knows what reality is, and it frickin' sucks. So you cheer for her trying to get out of it. Even if it involves, masturbating with a scarecrow and, dreams of murdering things. This is kind of like Trainspotting to me in a sense. I know I haven't gotten to talk about Trainspotting yet. If you want to talk about Trainspotting, send an email to rustthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. Offer me a movie, a theme, a director, an actor, and let's make some podcast gold. So, yeah, so the Pearl character is just somebody for those who are struggling and, hey, you read my blogs on maineventofthedead.com, hey, I'm kind of struggling. So, and that kind of feels like it's been a 13-year thing at least now. I digress. But yeah, it's really just more, until you get to the killings and such, it's more of just admiring the craft of Ty West. When it came to X, you had the crazy goofiness of a porno crew trying to figure stuff out, and the drama within them as, characters are wondering, well, maybe I should be doing this too. Here it's solely on Pearl, so I guess that just answers the question. You have a lot of characters to relate to or to go on the trip journey with when it came to X, and here you're just with Pearl. And, it's kind of, I guess what I would have probably gone with is kind of trying to make it a story like the reason why Black Noir is mute when it comes to The Boys, and how they kind of explained it with an old-timey cartoon in that series. Oh gosh, I gotta get started on the 4th season of The Boys. I gotta get started on the 2nd season of House of the Dragon. I gotta finish up Andor, and I gotta get into The Acolyte. Just so much stuff to watch. Maybe that's probably the biggest reason I'm struggling with 2 jobs. But so yeah, it just, again, it's just a journey where you're with one person the entire time, and variety might be the spice of life. Going back to Trainspotting, Renton had his crew. He had Sick Boy, he had Spud. Reluctantly, he had Begbie, and tragically, he had Tommy. And then let's not get into my Marty Skrull fandom and Diane from Trainspotting. Yeah, but once it starts moving, nothing exceptionally gory, I think, which I think is kind of the fun of it. But but the real joy of it is this is Norman Bates' mom. This is a female Ed Gein, and I love that we created that. And by the end of the feature, it feels more like an homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre than X did. So I would say X is the better movie, just because of, it's just got a better story, I suppose, and just the visceral nature of it. Well, this is charming genius, as I say. And Could you enhance the story? I think I just told you how you could. Like, we could have had a better relationship with Pearl's only friend, seemingly, and that would be Mitzi. She was played by Emma Jenkins Perot. And I find that the performance by Tandy Wright as the mother, German immigrant. I love the German incorporation into the story. She does great. And otherwise everything is it's a really small cast. You've got the projectionist, played by David Corenswet. You have the mother, the father, Matthew Sunderland is the father. You have Mitzi, and then you have just people on the peripheral, the judges at the audition, the dancers, the French porn that kind of helps inspire some of Pearl's choices but it's kind of tragic in the end. And I love the final scene, which is Pearl just smiling, painfully smiling at her situation that she's going to find herself in for the next 70 years, as I said. I guess it might only be 60, but this is 1918, X is 1979, so hey, 61 years. Right? Let's say 1 would be, 2 would be 20, 19, 20, 50. I mean, 53 years, maybe not that painful. But with her tendencies, there's another movie to be made. Maybe you could do something like just a Hays Code film, which would kind of be boring, but let's take the piss out of the Hays Code even further. As for the production, it's just a lot of fun to find the story behind it. Basically, Mia Goth needed an origin for her character of Pearl from X. Her other character in X is Maxine, and that's the center of the new movie coming out on the essentially 4th of July weekend, Maxine with 3 X's. So yeah, Maxine pretty easy to establish just from the story. Preacher girl wants to be a star and will do whatever she needs to do it. As for Pearl, okay, she's a serial killer. Well, not really a serial killer, just a mass murderer. I don't want to confuse the terms. Pearl, why would Pearl become would just so easily kill people? So that's Mia Goth came up with the backstory of a wannabe star, and basically the same thing that Maxine is, but you got to have a story behind that instead of just being young, pretty, and desperate. So that but the biggest thing about the production, and when I read about it, is that we finished filming X, and then hey, I got a lot of other people stuck in New Zealand who've already gone through the COVID preparations, who were, on a break during the shooting of Avatar: The Way of Water. So, yeah, they just drag that crew in because they've all passed, and they shoot another movie. So, we'll get to kind of I didn't get to mention stuff like this with my conversation with the Poetic Critic about basically the discrepancy in Hollywood when it comes to budgets. With Mad Max, I'll just go and say Mad Max Furiosa. So, all right. I think Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, probably cost Warner Brothers $200 to $250 million, and it's losing money. Why couldn't we have had divide that by 3, and I do the math a little better, a little more fair. $250 million, why don't you make a $125 million movie, and then with the remainder you make 4 or 5 $30 million movies, or hell, I'm an indie guy, $15 million movies, 6, that kind of math, I suppose. Because people are willing to just shoot, if you got a great idea and you got the support, you can shoot it, and then it's all up to marketing. Hey, that's not your problem. And I will praise Kevin Costner for Horizon: An American Saga, just because, hey, he made his art on his bill. And Warner Brothers screwed up the marketing. So, that's for another conversation in a couple weeks. So, I think I had more. Oh, it is fun that this movie puts an emphasis on the 1918 flu epidemic as kind of like a parallel, trying to get the audience into what we're dealing with now. Face coverings, just not being close to people, being told not to be close to people, and just being frustrated that you can't be close to people. So watch if you need to get your pandemic frustrations out, watch Pearl and watch the South Park COVID episodes. I think those are on Max. Hey, but I've been enjoying my Paramount Plus subscription, so hey, get everything if you'd like. So, yeah, I think I've pretty much covered everything I can about Pearl. If you want to talk in depth about the Ty West trilogy, hey, again, send an email to rustthebus07@gmail.com, or you can get a hold of me on Blue Sky at catbusrust.bsky.social. And of course, I'm still on Twitter at catbusrust there. And, Mastodon's fun, but I can understand why a lot of people are not going to go over there. But I'm there. There is an at catbusrust related account there, so you want to find me there, I'd be happy to chat with you. I've met some pretty cool guys, I guess I can say, I've podcasted with them, so I've met some pretty cool guys on Mastodon. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm looking for a guest. So at this point, if I stick to the rewind concept next week, and I use my Poetic Critic conversation the next week, that takes us to the 10th, the 17th. So July 24th, if you want to be on the show, is what I'm looking for next. As I say, focus on movies under 100 minutes, but we can make anything work. Never afraid to do a marathon to get to one movie. So a marathon, if you need to know, is basically we're going to talk about 3 sub 100 minutes movies related to a longer movie. Essentially, we're going to do a 6 p.m., an 8 p.m., 10 p.m., and then the movie we want to talk about at midnight. If you can't come up with 3 sub 100 minute movies, hey, I can take 2 over 100 minute movies and figure out how to slot that right to still come up with a 3 film marathon. So, but that is 90 for Chill, the podcast this week. Thanks for checking it out. I hope you guys all go out and see Maxine. This is going to be, we need more horror like what Ty West is offering. So let's help him out there. Station Marie Harden always helps me out, keeps me out of trouble for the most part, and an eye on me, and I hope she does the same for everybody else in her life. And I hope she's squeezing the ectoplasm out of Skimbleshanks, the one-eared angel. Thanks for coming to 90 for Chill, the podcast. Rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast apps. 5-star reviews, preferably, to help the algorithm, but be as honest as you'd like to be in the text. So, again, thank you for checking out 90 for Chill, the podcast, and until next week.
Can I hear a wahoo?